don't wait for all the, things to line up before you start. Just start. Just start, and by starting, you see the prospect, you see the challenges, and then you can address them as you go.
People to tell me who I am.
Hello guys, welcome to another episode of How It Started. On today's episode, I am excited because we are talking about music. On this episode, I'm interviewing the director of Gramophone Academy of Music, in the person of Theophil Asamoah-Gyadu. Let's get in. Hello Theophil.
Hi, Kwame.
It's an absolute pleasure having you today.
Same here.
As a backstory, we've been going round and round and round.
Yeah, we are.
And today I finally met you. It's really good to have you here. Brief introduction about yourself.
Okay.
Yeah.
My name is Theophil Asamoah-Gyadu.
Right.
I'm a supply chain professional.
Wow.
But I love music, and I've studied some music, and I consider myself a musician. I'm married to my beautiful wife, Mame Mankwa, and we have 2 lovely children. Yeah, that's all.
That's pretty much it, right? Supply chain music. What's the story there?
Yeah, well, it's a very interesting story. So all my life, the only thing I've been really passionate about has been music. And I have wanted to take music as far as possible. I had parents who were pretty supportive. They got me music tutors to teach me to play the piano, and even to get some certification in piano.
Oh, that's awesome.
Called ABRSM. But when I finished secondary school, and I wanted to decide what to do, the conversation was a bit contentious as to wanting to pursue music, completely, and then also like finding a profession.
Right.
Long story short, my parents advised that I find a profession and then do music, as a hobby, as it were. I didn't like that. I didn't like that very much. But so I looked around and I figured that I liked making things happen. I didn't want something that kept me stuck in an office or something. So I found supply chain, logistics, procurement, and I got into it. So after school, I worked in a couple of places. But I've always been passionate about music, and I always wanted to do something. I could never run away from it.
Right.
Even when I tried, I realized that that's where my heart is. So I decided that I will pursue music, and throughout school I led choirs. I taught people to appreciate music and play instruments. I used to leave school to go and help choirs outside campus and stuff like that. So I've always been involved in music. So yes, now I don't consider music a hobby. I consider it, my calling. My calling. So yes, that's where supply chain and music come in.
Really, really amazing story. Where did the influence come from? I mean, I know you mentioned that your parents were supportive enough in that area, but where did that interest in music come from?
That's a good question. So my father is a Reverend Methodist minister.
Oh right.
And so I grew up in the church. I grew up in the church, in a Methodist church to be specific. And music is a big part of, especially choral, classical music is a big part. My mom actually was a chorister.
Oh.
And so at home she used to play music all the time. Western classical music, local music, and I just loved it. You know, when I heard Handel for the first time, I was just amazed at how all these sounds were coming together.
Right.
You know, and being the pastor's son, I always had people around to help me, you know, figure my way around the keyboard and the organ. And so until I got to a point where I realized that I really love this, I nobody would ask me to go and sit behind the piano. They would ask me to go do my homework, but nobody would ask me to go and sit behind the piano. I would do that on my own. So I think my parents saw that I had a passion for this, and so they also decided to push me. But I don't think they ever envisioned how far I would love it and how far it would go. Yeah. So I think that's where the influence is from.
It's interesting the little influences we have as we grow up.
Yeah.
Amazing. Now let's come down to Gramophone Academy of Music. Let's hear that story.
Yeah. So just when I was about leaving school, I wanted to do something with music. I wasn't sure exactly what, but I love choral music, and so I got together with a couple of friends, and we decided to start an organization that would be music centered. So we called the organization Gramophone Ghana.
Okay.
And Gramophone Ghana has several wings.
Okay.
We have Gramophone Chorus, which is a choir that I direct.
Okay.
And then there was Gramophone Academy. In the beginning, like I'm saying, we're not sure what we wanted to do, but we at least we had a couple of friends. We started a choir. But as far as the academy goes, I had started teaching door to door, teaching people to play piano.
Right.
So I used to go around on Saturdays and some Sundays to go around to teach people piano in their homes, young people, old people. At a point in time, I got more students than I could handle in one Saturday. You know, so I decided I needed to find a location. But at that time, you know, finding money to get a space was a challenge. So I spoke to a church member about it, and she graciously offered her school on Saturdays for me to use for this purpose.
Right.
Which was also quite challenging, because we meant on Saturdays I had to wake up early, put a keyboard in my car boot, borrow a couple of others from friends, go and set up, and then I would have the students come in. But for some reason, it was more challenging than I thought, you know, because I realized that the children, I mean, my students had become used to me coming to them, that they were not as eager to come to a central place. So students kept missing lectures and kept missing classes, and things were challenging. And then out of the blue, I had to travel for 6 months. So I left the setup in the hands of some of my friends who I was working with at the time. But for a reason or another, it couldn't be sustained. So I decided that, look, I'm going to go back to the drawing board, and when I do this again, I'm going to really go all out and make it as big as I can. So God being so gracious, in 2019, entering 2020, I found a space which was in a very a good location.
Right.
I negotiated with the landlord. He graciously gave me the space, and I said, I'm going to use this place for Gramophone Academy.
Right.
So late February 2020, we opened Gramophone Center, which houses Gramophone Academy.
Right.
And that's how it all started.
That's really amazing. I really like to hear these stories because it tells me more about the fact that everything that you see that stands now started small somewhere.
Exactly.
And I see how the passion for the music help you through. I just see the connection all along. Amazing story. You touched on challenges. What can we delve in there? What were some of the key challenges you faced? Getting everything together.
Yeah.
Especially penetrating the markets. I see the smart part of beginning and going door to door. That was brilliant. But then how did you surmount getting them from I'm coming to you to now is here, all of you should come here and let's work it out?
Yeah. When people ask me this question, last week I was sitting at the center and I asked myself, how did we get here?
Right.
I just sometimes and I can only attribute it to the grace of God.
Right.
But what I can say is that some of the challenges I faced were first of all getting instruments. Like I said, at a point I had to borrow instruments from friends, and some of the music you usually have a network, so I had to borrow from my network, and sometimes it wasn't always available, so that's one challenge. I realized that people like to see things properly set up.
True.
So when I went to that school and I would push the chairs aside and set up some makeshift, classroom, I realized that they didn't really, people didn't see value, for want of a better expression. So then that brings you to the issue of raising money. Raising money. So because you need money to do a proper setup, you need money to get your own space, you need money to acquire your own instruments, So this is when I said, okay, look, I have an idea. I know it will succeed. But given that people like to see a proper setup, and given the challenge I have with traveling and all that, I'm going to spend some time to save up some capital.
Right.
And then go all out with it, And then when I did that, and people saw the right setup, saw the quality of the equipment, saw the location,
right?
That naturally, brought people to us. Yeah. So, but I think it's always important that you hold on to the vision.
Okay.
And try and navigate the challenges. Just because you face challenges does not mean that the idea is not a good one. It just means that you probably need to go back to the drawing board.
Right.
Even if it means, if it's a funding issue and you need to, get support or something like that, But yes, I still consider us having started small.
Right.
Because the dream is a lot bigger than what people we see now. But at least we're at a point where we can grow steadily.
Interesting. Your story is really good. It's really good. So, what strategies did you put in place to solve these challenges you outlined? Yeah. What did you put in? So I'm hearing going back to the drawing board and setting aside funds to be able to, if you like, beef up the place to make it look more attractive.
Exactly.
What other things did you? What strategies did you put in? Was there word of mouth? Was there leveraging on social media? Was there your network? All of that. What did you do?
Okay, so I did mention that when I was starting out, we had started a choir.
Right.
And that choir, over the space of we started the choir in 2013. So over the space of 5 years, had become a force to reckon with,
Right.
as far as the choral and classical music space goes in Ghana. So we had quite a following.
Okay.
Even on social media, we had quite a following of people who had come to our events and had come to watch the choir. I mean, if you're looking for choirs in Ghana, you cannot go past Gramophone Chorus. So when we started Gramophone Academy, the goodwill that the Gramophone Chorus at Gramophone Ghana at the time in holding quarterly events and stuff had built,
Right.
was a good leverage for the academy to hook on to.
Right.
So that is one. Two, I think getting a right team in place. You know, when we were starting out, my idea was to also give people who had actually pursued music full time, in other words, had gotten degrees and stuff in music, to give them also a job, a place to work.
Right.
But I realized that a lot of the people that came to work were people just like me. People who had chosen different professions, but were also really passionate about music.
Right.
And in fact, when we did interviews, most of the people who succeeded were people that didn't have qualifications, as it were, degrees or something in music, but
Right.
they could play the instrument, they could teach the instrument, you know, and they could play and teach well.
Amazing.
You know, so I think hiring the right people is also very, very important. You know, because they drive the vision. You know, they drive the vision. I don't know whether I'm answering your question.
Yeah, I mean, you're touching on it. I see the branching off to one side, which is the Gramophone Chorus.
Exactly.
You know, gathering that goodwill from that side,
Exactly.
and then dragging it to this side. It
Exactly.
absolutely makes sense.
Exactly.
Could you touch on? Did you leverage on social media?
Yes, absolutely.
You did social media as
Absolutely,
well.
social media. I mean, social media has been big. So we put out a notice for registration in late 2019,
Right.
and on social media, and we got quite a number of people signing up to want to
Okay.
take lessons
Right.
in instruments. For us, we are also big on the quality. So in the beginning, we're not even keen on getting so many students. The goal has been to get students playing and playing well.
Right.
Because when they play well, they will, you know, sell.
They'll sell.
They'll sell the school. So
Right.
when we started in 2020, end of 2021, we had a concert.
Wow.
Where our students had the opportunity to show the world what they had learned, and it was a huge success.
Right.
And off the back of that, other people decided to
join in as well.
To join in as well. So.
So quickly, what age ranges are you looking at?
Yeah. So we start at age 5.
5. Okay.
Age 5, and there's no limit.
Okay.
Anybody above age 5 that wants to learn an instrument, you're welcome. We have adults. We have people who work. They come after work. We have 5-year-olds playing the violin. We have 7, 8. Yeah. So from age 5 upwards.
Fantastic. Interesting. So even all the way to 85.
Oh yes.
If you're interested in playing music.
Absolutely.
Wonderful. I mean, we are wrapping up our conversation. So where do you see this passion of yours and Gramophone Academy of Music? Where do you see it in 5 years?
Well, in 5 years, we want to see gramophone centers all over Ghana.
Right.
Places where people can walk in and pick up a skill. Pick up a skill in playing an instrument. So in 5 years, we want gramophone centers all around. Looking into the long-term future, we want to establish an organization that can, now beyond teaching people who have other skills to play instruments, but it become an organization where people can come, and get a degree in music.
Right.
We want to become the go-to place for people who want to study serious music.
Right.
Yeah. So this is the vision.
So like there's this one in the UK. Is it the Royal something of
Exactly,
Music?
the Royal Academy of Music.
Academy of Music, right?
Yeah, this is what we want to do
Right.
in Ghana.
Big dreams. I am excited to hear what you're saying, because I'm just thinking this off the top of my head, and there's nothing really like that.
Exactly.
I'll be praying for you.
Yes. We need it.
Awesome. Theophil, it's. I mean, I like everything I'm hearing so far. I like you've touched on the passion bit a lot, and I see how, when you start out, the problems are going to come. You said something really profound. You said the problems are going to come, but it doesn't mean that the idea is not going to work.
Exactly.
I thought that was spot on. Where can we find you on socials? Is there social media handles? Give us your number. Because I'm sure our viewers are itching. I'm looking to join. I'm looking to start the piano lessons as quickly as possible. So where can we find you?
Yeah. So
Right.
on social media, you can find us
Social media.
on Instagram at Gramophone Academy.
Gramophone Academy. Okay.
Gramophone_Academy. That's
Okay.
it. And then on Facebook, Gramophone Academy.
Same.
You can find us.
Okay.
And
So it's
our
Instagram,
phone-
Facebook.
Instagram and
Okay.
Facebook,
And then
yes.
what's the number?
The number is for East Legon. We have 2 locations, East
Okay.
Legon and Adenta.
Fantastic. Okay.
East Legon is 030-255 7354.
Okay. Could you
And
repeat it again?
030-255 7354.
Okay. That's for the East Legon, and then for the
Legon.
Adenta
Adenta
one.
is 030-252 6618.
66.
That's
Okay.
030-252 6618.
Oof. You already have a second academy going on.
Yeah.
That's really awesome. I've been inspired by what you're doing so far. I think music is big. I believe it really touches on a really creative aspect of
It does.
human beings,
It does.
and it's beautiful to see people in Ghana, because I think music has really been a part of us for a very, very long time.
It has.
It's amazing how, we are growing, and we are not seeing a lot of standout models that's going to attract a lot of people into that space. Awesome stuff you're doing. What advice would you give to people who are looking to enter the music space?
Yes. The advice I would give is that if you have a vision, hold on to it dearly
Right.
and defend it with everything you have. But I think the best advice I can give is, look, don't wait for all the things to line up before you start. Just start. Just start, and by starting you see the prospect, you see the challenges, and then you can address them as you go. But just start. I just decided to do door-to-door tuition, and through that I realized that, look, I need to get a location. I tried once, it didn't work as I wanted to, and I tried again, and it's worked out for me. So just start.
Just start. Just start. Right. This, guys, this has been really, really insightful. for me, I think it's been very inspirational for me. I think if you put in the music aside, you've touched on a lot of things that personally in my life I try to remind myself of constantly, because the dream can be very big, you know, and you're seeing it so clearly in your head, and the problems are hitting you every day. But you know, I like the thing you just said about, you know, just starting. You know, start small, and you know, build your way up.
Exactly.
Theophil, this has been fantastic. This has been really great. It's been really awesome having you. If you are in the audience, if you're looking to learn an instrument, from the guitar to the piano to
violin,
the
drums,
cello, to all of those, I encourage you to look for Gramophone Academy. The director is here. His name is Theophil. He is calm. He is collected, and I'm sure you can feel the passion here. When you speak, I see how. I can imagine you teaching music, you know, and I'm sure you guys should experience what I'm experiencing over here. This has been really awesome. Please check out Gramophone Academy on Instagram and on Facebook. Check out the numbers below. And until the next episode, please stay safe.